Jae-yun chose a corner of the hospital waiting room that day, as usual. The chairs were made of hard plastic, but he didn't settle for just any spot. His 12-year-old body had already become accustomed to various kinds of discomfort. His right knee ached with every step, and he had been taking blood pressure medication for 3 years without fail. Today, he had come to the general hospital early in the morning to hear the results of his lumbar MRI. A long line had already formed in front of the reception desk, and his waiting number was 37. The electronic display showed that 15 patients were currently being seen. Jae-yun took out his cell phone and checked the time. 1000 a.m. It seemed he would have to wait for at least an hour. He put his cell phone back in his pants pocket and looked out the window. Magnolias had just begun to bloom in the hospital garden. Their large white petals shone brightly in the early spring sunlight. Every time Jae-yun saw the magnolias, he felt a strange loneliness in one side of his chest. It had been like that since he was a child. No, to be precise, it had been like that since the spring of his second year of high school, spring of 1971. Jae-yun, once again that year, had a fondness for the season when magnolias bloomed. He could see the building of a girls' high school beyond the wall of the humanities high school he attended, and in the middle of its garden stood a magnolia tree. A single tree stood there. During class, she would often look out the window, searching for it. It wasn't because of the tree itself. It was because of a female student who often stood beneath it. It was Youngja. Park Young-ya, Jae-yun had called that name once. More than 50 years had passed, but the name was still clearly pronounced on her tongue. Youngja was in the same class as Jae-yun's cousin. Thanks to that, Jae-yun knew Youngja's name and face. If that was fate, then so be it. But that was all. Jae-yun never spoke to Youngja. Youngja wasn't tall. She had short hair, a round face, a slightly blunt nose, and when she smiled, her eyes narrowed almost completely. Jae-yun liked that smile. Her white socks were always neatly pulled up under her school uniform skirt, and she walked a little fast. When Jae-yun walked in the same direction as Youngja on a tall path, she deliberately slowed her pace. She didn't get too close, but she maintained a distance that wouldn't cause her to miss Youngja. That was all Jae-yun could do for Youngja. In those days, the South School and the girls' school were separated by a single fence, but the distance between them was practically as vast as outer space. The thought of accidentally encountering her on the bus made Jae-yun feel suffocated. He looked out the window to see if their eyes would meet. Then, more than looking out the window, he looked down at his toes again, wondering if their gazes might meet. Youngja probably didn't even know Jae-yun was there. Jae-yun first saw Youngja at his cousin's birthday party. He was 17 then, and Youngja was the same age. When the girls' schoolgirls, the Sanuts, gathered on the narrow floor of his sister's house to eat birthday seaweed, Jae-yun used an errand as an excuse to open his door, but stopped, and his eyes met Youngja's. Youngja simply smiled without any surprise. That casual smile was the first time Jae-yun had experienced such a shock. His face turned red. He closed his door, squatted down on the edge of the floor, and quietly felt his heart race for a while. From then on, Jae-yun became conscious of English letters. Being conscious of them was incredibly difficult for a boy his age. Even when he wanted to see them, there was nothing he could do. Even when he wanted to talk to her, he didn't know what to say. He wrote and tore up letters dozens of times. One night, he folded a piece of paper in half with "To Park Youngja" written on it, but ended up burning it in a lantern. The word love felt so heavy, and the word like felt so light. All the while, Jae-yun's heart was somewhere. In the spring of his senior year of high school, half of Youngja's class changed, and he was in a different class from his cousin. Naturally, news and English letters also stopped. Jae-yun had to focus on preparing for the college entrance exam, and by the time summer passed and autumn arrived and he received his exam ticket, he didn't even have time to think about English letters. And so, his unrequited love ended. More than ending, it vanished without a trace in a single moment. No, it seemed to vanish. Jae-yun graduated from university and joined a small construction company. He got married, had 2 children, retired, and saw his wife off. During that waiting period, the name English would pass him by from time to time, very occasionally. When the magnolias bloomed, and when he saw a short-haired stranger on the bus. At those times, Jae-yun would pause for a moment, then turn his head. That's what life is like, he told himself. Everyone goes their own way. The electronic display changed to number 31. Jae-yun stood up from his seat, straightened his back, and walked to the vending machine. On his way back, after getting a cup of mixed coffee, he stopped. It was because of a woman who was about to enter the waiting room from the entrance. She had short, shoulder-length hair with some white strands mixed in. She seemed to be asking something to the receptionist standing in front of her. Jae-yun found himself standing there, unconsciously, and watched her. The woman raised her head and looked around the waiting room. She was looking for an empty seat. The moment her eyes fell in the direction Jae-yun was standing, he felt something stir inside him. His nose was a little veiled. Jae-yun was out of breath. No, to be precise, he forgot to breathe. No way, he muttered to himself. No way. The woman was a year old with a scar. Her white hair was natural, and she walked with one foot slightly trailing. She held a small glove in her left hand. Jae-yun walked to his seat, suppressing his trembling heart. He took a sip of coffee. The bitterness was a blessing. The woman sat 5 digits away from Jae-yun. She took something out of her handbag, stopped over, and began reading. Jae-yun struggled to resist the urge to look in her direction. He feared he would look strange. A man in his 20s, staring intently at a stranger, would simply look like a strange old man. Jae-yun took out his number and fixed his gaze on the electronic display. Number 33. Ah, has it been over a minute? The woman turned towards Jae-yun. Perhaps the seat was uncomfortable as she briefly mistook him. Then their eyes met. Jae-yun quickly turned his gaze back. The woman also turned her head forward. That was all. It was a meaningless moment, like when strangers accidentally make eye contact. However, after a while, the woman looked at Jae-yun again. This time, Jae-yun didn't avoid her. The woman's eyes seemed to examine Jae-yun's face for a while. Then she spoke cautiously. By any chance, aren't you Lee Jae-yun? Jae-yun felt his whole body freeze. A little coffee spilled from the paper cup he was holding. He slowly looked at the woman. I'm Park Young-ja. Not Kim Young-ja, but Park Young-ja. Jae-yun's lips started to move but stopped. Then after a moment they parted very slowly. I see. I looked you up. Young-ja's eyes widened for a moment. Then she smiled. The corners of her wrinkled eyes stretched. That smile made her eyes almost disappear. Jae-yun remembered that smile from 50 years ago. Ah, this is her. This is the one. I thought so for a while, too. A lot has changed. Me too. An awkward silence fell. It wasn't a heavy silence. Rather, I felt like something smelly, like something that had stayed there, was taking its place among the old bookshelves. Jae-yun took another cup of coffee. What's wrong? Jae-yun asked first. My knee. Because the cartilage is worn down. How about you, Jae-yun? My waist. My disc. Young-ji chuckled softly. That's our age, I guess. That one sentence strangely eased Jae-yun's mind. Our age. Those words contained the fact that the two of them were reaching the end of the same time. The 17-year-old with his arms linked, the middle-aged man with many bends, they were all gone. And now they were facing each other like this. How is your cousin? Young-ji asked. She passed away 3 years ago. It was her heart. Ah. Young-ji's voice grew lower. I see. Where does Aiko live? I live separately now, near my daughter's house. It's not far from here. How about you, Jae-yun? I live alone. My wife passed away 7 years ago. Young-ji was silent for a moment. Then he said quietly, You worked very hard. Jae-yun simply nodded. It was too long ago to say it was difficult, and it would be hard to be honest about it. The electronic display changed to 36. Jae-yun's number would be called soon. Part 3. Even late-blooming flowers are flowers. Number 37. The electronic display showed Jae-yun's number. Jae-yun slowly stood up. I think I should go in. Yes. You'll get good results. Jae-yoon walked towards the examination room and stopped. When she looked back, Young-ji was looking at her. Jae-yoon hesitated for a moment and then came back. Perhaps. Do you know the number? Maybe we could have tea sometime later. Young-ji's expression was neither surprised nor confused. He just glanced at Jae-yoon, then took a small note from his handbag and wrote a number on it. Please contact us. Jae-yoon folded the note and put it in his pocket. His legs felt light. He even forgot about his back pain for a while. In the examination room, the doctor told Jae-yoon that surgery wasn't necessary and that he would try to manage it with physical therapy and exercise. Jae-yoon nodded and accepted the prescription. Leaving the examination room, he glanced around the waiting room. There was no English writing. It seemed the consultation had finished earlier. Jae-yoon touched the note in